It's 2 in the morning. It's almost definitely raining because, let's be honest, that's just how it works, right? Refrigeration units only break when it's miserable out.
Oh, yeah. The beacon of doom.
The beacon of doom, exactly. And you walk up to the unit, you're squinting through the rain, you check the display, and there it is. Alarm code 06.
Engine coolant temperature sensor. A classic.
And if you're anything like I was, back in my early days, your brain immediately goes into part swapper mode. The screen says sensor, so the sensor's dead. You run to the shelf, grab a new one, screw it in, and just pray the light goes out.
And that is exactly where you separate the parts changers from the actual technicians.
Yeah.
Because if you just swap the part without understanding the nervous system of the machine, you might fix it for 20 minutes.
Or not at all.
Or not at all. And then you're getting a call back at 4 a.m., which is, even worse.
So that's really our mission for this deep dive. We're not just reading a manual on alarm code 06. We are digging into the logic, the specific wiring, yes, we have PIN numbers today, and the actual physics that trigger this alarm.
We want to find the root cause, not just the symptom. Understand the story the machine is trying to tell us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with that symptom. When this alarm sets, you don't always get a number on the display. You get those weird dashes.
You get the Morse code of death, just 3 or 4 dashes right across the screen.
It looks like a glitch almost, like the screen is broken.
Not a glitch, though. It's a very, very specific message. Those dashes are the unit's way of basically screaming, I have no idea what's happening right now.
So the data is just gone.
It's so wild, so out of bounds, that the computer refuses to even display it as a temperature. It doesn't make sense.
Okay. So before we decode those dashes, let's talk about the hardware. Physically, what is this thing?
It's a standard thermistor probe, sits right in the engine thermostat housing, usually near the top of the engine. And the key thing to remember here is that it's an ungraded sensor.
Ungraded. Okay, explain that, because some sensors have to be perfectly matched to the board, right? You have to calibrate them.
Right. If this were graded, you'd need a laptop just to tell the computer, hey, I installed a new sensor, here's its specific resistance. But this is designed for the real world. It's a diesel engine, so no calibration needed, it's plug and play.
Which is kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, because it's so easy to replace, no laptop, no calibration, just a wrench, it becomes the first thing people do. It's the lazy fix.
Spot on. It's low effort, so it's the first attempt. But listen, just because it's easy to change doesn't mean it's broken. And honestly, these sensors are pretty tough. They don't fail as often as you'd think.
Let's talk urgency then. I'm a tech on call. I see code 06. Is the engine about to melt? Do I need to shut it down right now?
Well, context is everything. If the unit is just running down the highway, code 06 is typically just a log alarm or a check alarm.
So unit keeps running.
It keeps running, yeah. It's flagging you saying, hey, I'm flying blind on coolant temp, but I'm going to keep cooling the cargo. The product is the priority.
But there are exceptions. Big ones.
Massive exceptions. First is the pre-trip test. If you trigger a pre-trip and code 06 pops up, that is an immediate shutdown.
It fails the test.
Instantly. The unit's logic is basically, I can't certify that I'm roadworthy if I can't even check my own engine temperature. You can't send it out on a trip like that.
That makes perfect sense. What about when it's paired with another code? I'm seeing a note here about alarm code 37.
Ah, yes. That's the check engine coolant level alarm. Now, this is where the logic gets really aggressive. If the computer sees code 37, so low level, and code 06, sensor failure, it panics.
It assumes the worst case scenario.
It assumes you have no coolant and the engine is cooking itself. That triggers an immediate shutdown to save the engine block. It's not taking any chances.
Okay, so code 06 alone, you might limp home. Code 06 plus 37, you're parking it.
Precisely.
Now, what about electric standby mode? If it's plugged in at the dock.
Then the severity just drops through the floor. The diesel engine isn't running, so the controller says, I don't really care about the coolant sensor right now. It becomes a simple log alarm.
So as a technician, you really need to know what mode the unit was in when the alarm set. A disaster in diesel mode is just a footnote in electric.
Exactly. You have to interpret the alarm based on what the unit was trying to do.
All right, let's decode the signals. We talked about the dashes. But electrically, what's happening to trigger this? I mean, engines get hot. How does the computer know the difference between working hard and a broken sensor?
It all comes down to what I call impossible physics. The controller has thresholds that are, they're physically impossible for a running engine to hit.
Okay, give us the numbers. What's the ceiling?
On the high side, the limit is 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 121 Celsius.
250. I mean, that's really hot, but it's not impossible, is it?
It's extremely hot. You're boiling over at that point. But the controller treats that as the absolute limit of reality. If it sees 250 or higher, the logic assumes either the sensor has failed or the engine is about to seize.
And on the low side?
This is the more common one for electrical faults. The low limit is negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so negative 46 Celsius.
Okay, unless you're hauling ice cream in the middle of an Antarctic winter, the coolant should not be negative 50.
Right. And even then, a running engine creates heat. So if the computer sees minus 50, it doesn't think, wow, it's cold. It thinks the circuit is open.
Let's pause on that. The circuit is open. Can you explain that relationship?
Sure. So most of these sensors are NTC negative temperature coefficient. That means as the temperature goes up, the electrical resistance goes down.
Okay, so hot equals low resistance.
Correct. So conversely, as temperature goes down, resistance goes up. So now just imagine you cut the wire. You've created an open circuit.
An open circuit is infinite resistance.
Exactly. And the computer interprets infinite resistance as the coldest possible temperature it can imagine.
Which is negative 50.
Exactly. So when you see minus 50, or those dashes, you're not looking for a cold problem. You're looking for a broken wire or an unplugged sensor.
That's a huge distinction. So does this happen instantly? If I hit a bump and a wire wiggles for a split second, do I get an alarm?
Thankfully, no. They built in a buffer. We call it the 10-second rule.
Okay, filters out the noise.
The condition, whether it's reading 250 or minus 50, has to persist for 10 full seconds. If it glitches for 9 seconds and comes back, no alarm.
But once that 10 seconds is up,
bam, code 06, and the dashes appear. And here's the kicker. Even if the temperature goes back to normal 1 second later, the code stays.
it's latched.
It's latched. It waits for you. You have to manually clear it.
Which explains why you can walk up to a unit, see the code, but the temp reading looks totally fine.
That's the ghost in the machine. An intermittent fault. It happened an hour ago, lasted 12 seconds, and fixed itself. But the unit is holding that flag up.
All right, let's get our hands dirty. We know the sensor, we know the logic. Let's talk about the nervous system, the wiring.
This is where the battle is really won or lost. I'd say, 60% of the sensors I see replaced are perfectly fine. The problem is the roadmap between the sensor and the brain.
So paint the picture. What's this circuit look like?
It's a simple 2-wire circuit, but you really need to know your pin designations.
Yeah?
We're looking for the WTP01 and WTN01 wires.
WTP, wired temperature positive.
Essentially, yeah. WTP01 is your positive leg. It comes from the base controller from that big 35-pin connector we call J3.
J3, the big plug. Which pin?
Pin 26. If you put your meter on J3, pin 26, you're chasing that signal out to the blue wire on the sensor.
Pin 26 to blue. And the return.
That's WTN01, wired temperature negative. That also goes to J3, but it lands on pin 15.
And that one matches up too.
The brown wire at the sensor.
So pin 26 to blue, pin 15 to brown. It sounds simple.
It is simple on paper. But in the real world, that wire travels through the sensor harness, around a vibrating engine, and connects through a Deutsch connector.
And I know you have a thing about how people install those Deutsch connectors.
It's not a thing. It's a plea for sanity. Look, that Deutsch connector, the little gray plug, is the scene of the crime for so many of these failures.
Why vibration?
It's moisture. Remember the rain at 2 a.m. Water is the enemy of data. If water gets into that plug, it changes the resistance. And what did we just learn about resistance?
Resistance equals temperature.
Exactly. A little water bridges those pins, the resistance reading changes, and the computer thinks the engine is overheating when really it's just a wet plug.
So what's the pro tip here? How do you stop the rain?
You can't stop the rain, but you can use gravity. It's all about the drip loop.
Explain that.
When you zip tie that harness, you never ever want the connector pointing up like a cup, because water runs down the wire right into the back of the plug and just pools there.
You want it facing down.
You want the wires entering from the bottom. Or at the very least, have a loop in the wire that's lower than the connector, so water drips off the loop before it can even get to the plug.
Gravity is part of your tool set.
Always. I've seen perfectly good sensors condemned, thousands in warranty claims, all because a zip tie was 2 inches too high.
That's a huge takeaway. Okay, let's move to the diagnostic workflow. I've got my tools, I'm at the unit, code 06 is staring at me. What is step one?
Step one is not a screwdriver. Step one is your laptop. You need to hook up the WinTrack service tool.
We say this in every deep dive, but why is the laptop so critical for this alarm?
Because you can't see the past. You need the Service Watch data logger. And you want to view that data at a technician level.
What does that show us that the standard view doesn't?
It shows you the exact conditions when the alarm was set and when it was cleared. You're looking for the shape of the data. Yeah, if the temperature graph looks like a heartbeat, smooth rises and falls. That's normal. Physics is smooth. But if you see a vertical line, like it went from 180 degrees to minus 50 in 1 second, that's impossible.
Coolant doesn't freeze instantly.
Exactly. Nature doesn't move in right angles. That vertical drop on the graph is the smoking gun for an electrical fault. It tells you, don't check the thermostat, check the crimps on the pins.
Okay, so we've looked at the data, we see the sharp drop, now we troubleshoot. Walk us through the physical steps.
Step 1, check the display right now. Go to the sensor menu. Is it showing dashes currently?
And if it is?
If yes, the fault is active. This is the easy one. Unplug the sensor, check the resistance. If it reads open on your meter, the sensor's toast. Swap it.
But if the sensor tests fine?
Then you move to step 2, circuit integrity. You're wringing out the wires from the central back to J3, pin 26 and pin 15. You're looking for a broken wire or a spot where it's rubbing and shorting to ground.
And shorting to ground would give you that high temp alarm, usually.
Usually, yeah. A short to ground often mimics zero resistance, which the computer thinks is maximum heat.
Okay. Now, step 3 here is fascinating. It connects back to that shutdown scenario with alarm 37.
Ah, the air pocket scenario.
This sounds like physics tricking electronics again.
It is. The sensor is designed to be submerged in liquid, right? Liquid transfers heat efficiently.
Right.
But if your coolant is low, or you didn't bleed the system properly, you can get an air bubble trapped right in the thermostat housing.
So the sensor is just sitting in air.
Exactly. And the water sloshes.
Yeah.
So 1 second the sensor gets hit by super hot steam, the next second cool water splashes it. The temperature reading goes nuts. It's all over the place.
And the computer sees this erratic data and throws code 06.
It thinks the sensor is failing because the numbers are nonsensical. But the sensor's fine. It's just reporting the chaos of that air pocket. So you have to verify the system is bled of air.
You could be chasing an electrical ghost when the problem is literally just burping the radiator.
Oh, I've seen guys replace the entire controller because they thought the logic was fried. All they needed to do was open the bleed screw.
That's painful. Okay, let's do the nightmare scenario before we wrap. The cluster.
Oh, the Christmas tree effect.
Yeah. You walk up expecting code 06, but the alarm list is a mile long. You got 06, 02, 03, 04, 05, 11, 12.
Return air, supply air, remote probes. Everything is dead.
My first thought is lightning strike or the computer is fried.
And that's the most expensive mistake you can make. Just think about the odds. What are the chances that 10 separate sensors all over the unit all failed at the exact same second?
Pretty much 0.
Right. So don't troubleshoot the sensors, troubleshoot the common denominator. And where do all those sensors live?
They all go back to the base controller.
Specifically to that J3 connector we talked about, the 35-pin plug.
So if J3 is loose?
If J3 isn't fully seated, or the locking tab is broken, or going back to our old friend, if water's gotten into J3, you lose the connection to the entire sensor array at once.
It's not a system meltdown, it's a loose plug.
It's almost always a loose plug. So, step 1 in a cluster. Ignore the codes. Go straight to the microprocessor, grab J3, unplug it, check for water or corrosion, plug it back in, and make sure you hear it click.
And watch the alarms just vanish.
It is the most satisfying feeling in the world. You clear 20 alarms with one thumb.
I love that. Okay, so we've diagnosed the wire, we've bled the system, we reseated J3, the unit is running, numbers are on the screen, but the alarm light is still on.
And this trips people up every time. Alarm code 06 is latched.
Meaning it won't clear itself?
The unit will not forgive and forget just because the temp is back to normal.
Yeah.
It wants you to acknowledge the event happened. You have to go into the menu and manually clear it.
But there's a catch.
There's always a catch. It won't clear if the problem is still active. If you're standing there pressing clear and it keeps popping right back up, look at the sensor reading. If it's still showing dashes, you haven't fixed it yet.
You can't clear a problem that's still screaming at you. So, to recap, we started with the flashing light. We learned the sensor is a robust, ungraded component.
We learned the thresholds. 250 on the high side, minus 50 on the low side. And that minus 50 almost always means an open circuit.
We traced the nervous system. Positive on J3 pin 26, the blue wire. Negative on J3 pin 15, the brown wire.
We visualized the drip loop-keeping gravity on our side to keep that Deutsch connector dry.
And we learned that if the dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree, check the main plug first.
Save yourself the cost of a computer. Check J3.
As we wrap this up, what's the one big thought you want to leave everyone with?
I want you to think about the relationship between logic and physics. We get so caught up in the digital side, the codes, the software, the laptop. We think it's a computer problem.
But it rarely is.
It almost never is. That digital alarm is just a symptom of a physical reality. Water dripping into a connector, that's physics. An air bubble in a hot hose, physics. A wire rubbing on a frame, physics.
So the job isn't to fix the computer.
The job is to use the computer to find the physical fault. Don't be a parts changer who swaps a sensor because the screen said so. Be the technician who finds the water, finds the air, finds the loose pin. That's where the real repair happens.
Find the physics behind the logic. I love that. Well, that's our deep dive on alarm code 06. Hopefully next time you see those dashes, you won't panic.
You'll just check your connector orientation.
Thanks for listening. Keep those units running cool.
Stay safe out there.